this special finance meeting to order. The date is the 30th October. The time is 1:02. With us today, we have Alderman Tolliver, Alderwoman Bade, Alderman Warman, Alderman Bugg, and myself, Alderman Franco. First item on the agenda is public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak?
No, we do not.
Thank you. We'll go right into the agenda item 24-0786, review of the proposed 2025 city budget, parks, zoo, golf, and airport.
Good afternoon, Gio Santana, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation. Good afternoon, Finance Committee. This is the continuation of public facilities, the second half of the department. Starting off with Parks and Recreation, some of our 2024 highlights. We completed improvements and repairs at the tennis courts and Sophusburg parks. We restriped the parking lots, seal coated them. We completed infield renovations to Hunt South baseball field. That consisted of removing the entire top layer of the infield mix, put in a new mix that's supposed to be help with drainage, overall better playability. We replaced benches around Mastodon Lake. We completed GIS tree inventory at 10 locations, which was the remaining legacy parks outside of Phillips Parks, plus the mini park locations. Implemented solar compacting waste bins throughout Phillips Park. These are smart bins that are solar powered. They're self-enclosed. They prevent a lot of flyaway litter, but they also have smart capabilities that enable notifications when they need to be serviced, so reduces a lot of staff time spent on garbage collection. We also replaced and refilled sand at all of our volleyball courts. We assisted zoo with various structural repairs, and then we're also working on a shade improvement from McCarty Park. Some of our 2025 initiatives, we're looking to install an irrigation system at Wilder Park, upgrade and convert McCarty Park splash pad to potable water, complete Mastodon Lake dredging and shoreline restoration, renovation of the main playground at Phillips Park, phase 1 of OSLAD renovations at Garfield Park, as well as completing the initial phases of the master plan.
Gio, can I stop for a second? Because I want to go back to the baseball fields real quick. A new mixture put into the fields, like is it a clay and sand mixture type of thing?
Yes, so what we did is we had all of our fields tested back in 2021, got analysis of the current composition. Based on those test results, we had recommended material that we replaced the top layer of all the infields. We completed the majority of them in 2023, but Hunt South was the one remaining that we completed earlier this year.
So when we do that mixture, and I've seen this happen before, when you have a sand and clay mixture, after time, the sand goes to the bottom, the clay goes to the top, and it's really hard. Do we ever turn that over at all?
Yes, so it's a combination. So when we removed the layer, we turned over what was remaining, and then as we added layer, we kept mixing it in, okay. So it was a multi-layer process.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I've seen some park districts don't do that, and I'm like, it's really a waste of time to have that sand go to the bottom. It needs to be mixed in there to make it a better playing surface. So
yeah, we use a tiller for that.
All right, good, thank you. Continue.
So going into some of the 2025 decision packages, one of them is for greenhouse ventilation control system. And every year we grow anywhere between 35 and 40,000 plants in our greenhouse. The ventilation systems are automated, so when we have those warm winter days or fall days warmer than normal, or vice versa, colder spring days, the temperature control allows the ventilation to work. If it's getting too hot in there, it opens up the ventilation system. If it's getting too cold, it closes it. Unfortunately, the current system is obsolete, so we are looking to replace that again so we can preserve the plants that we grow in there. We're looking at implementing a mobile app for the use
Gio,
of...
can I stop you for 1 second? Alderman Bugg has a question.
Yeah. And maybe this is not a question for you, maybe it's for Mr. Burchell. So Ms. Schuler was here, just here, talking about everything, about the greenhouses and everything. So, and maybe it's a question for finance. Why is this under parks and not under Abby's budget?
This would be the Phillips Park greenhouse. It's a separate greenhouse from the downtown services greenhouse.
Okay. And this is next to the zoo?
It's attached
in the zoo.
It's in Phillips Park, attached to the maintenance garage.
Okay.
So this is where we grow the majority of the plants for the parks, the golf course, and the zoo.
Okay.
We're also looking to implement a public app for use of scheduling. This will be anywhere from reservations for pavilions, streamlining a lot of the current manual procedures where people have to call in or come in person. Also things like the tram, availability of our features, whether it's a tram, whether it's pavilions, whether it's the athletic fields, also can be used to implement tee time reservations for the golf course, to just various public uses across the board. looking to install irrigation at Wilder Park. Currently, there's irrigation on the promenade landscape beds, but not on the other 7 landscape beds throughout the park. This will not only improve the park appearance because it would be turf and plants, but it would also bring significant savings as far as staff hours that currently we have to send staff out there with the manual water truck to water those by hand. So not only staff savings, but fuel savings back and forth. And then we also have a decision package for conservation of the mastodon bones. Not only cleaning and stabilization of the bones would be the first part in 2025, but then also updating the cases so that they're more controlled as far as temperature and humidity for lifelong preservation of the bones.
Gio, I got a question for you on this. Historic bones like this seemed like there would be grant eligible if there's ever grants out there. I mean, we have so many different grants for so many different things. It would appear that if we found something like this, or somebody want to give us money to restore that, some group out there, have we looked into that at all?
Yeah, we've actually been working very closely with Eric Pry from the GAR Museum, as well as our grant writing team. So we're looking at all funding possibilities.
Okay, good, thank you.
Any other questions for Parks before I turn it over to our zoo manager?
Any questions from the committee?
Yeah, one more.
Alderman Bug.
Yeah, on the system, the sign-up system, of course, when we Track It forward, we hoped that Track It would be able to go into all the departments and kind of help them, move them along, different patches and things that they could pull forward. There was not a patch or something from Track It that we could quickly simulate for the parks?
We have been working with IT on this, and not that we have come across, but before any implementation, we always consult our team in IT.
I think Mr. Alexander wants.
Mr. Alexander.
Good afternoon, Alex Alexander, Chief Management Officer. This does not really apply to Track It, and I think, Alderman, I know there's been a couple times where you've talked about Track It, so I think what I'm going to do is have Mr. Curley refresh, and we'll put something out to all the aldermen about the current status of Track It, what it can do, and what it can't do. Unfortunately, it's not. The development of these apps has gone so quickly and so well that, you know, Track It was always intended to be more of an ERP type system, you know, more of a platform similar to what we've had over the years with SunGuard, Central Square, you know, on both the city side, what I'll call City Hall side, versus public safety. So the use of these apps, and Gio and the team and other folks, you know, customer service 311, apps are where it's at in terms of this type of technology now and scheduling. And the whole point, you know, we've made improvements to Jeff at the golf course for scheduling, so it's really not a Track It thing, if I can cut to the chase. But I will get something updated to all the aldermen about Track It and where it's at and where it's going, so that we get a difference. But you're gonna see more of these types of requests from city staff and departments because of the way the technology is making it so much easier for people to interact with certain departments. And for here, this was a very manual process. Managing our ball fields, very manual. Managing shelters and different things at the park. So this is really gonna bring up the technology to where it should be right now, and it's a best practice.
Any other questions? Thank you, and thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'll turn it over to our zoo manager.
Good afternoon, Anna Brosnitz, Zoo Manager. All right, some of our 2024 decision package highlights. We increased the animal feed budget, which allows us to provide a much higher quality diet for all of the animals, really revamp those and provide the industry standard food that they'd need. We did some repairs to the zoo parking lot, as well as some new seasonal worker positions, allowing us to have dedicated tram attendants, which improved our visitor experience, and tram continuity. Some of our 2025 initiatives to hopefully establish user fee-based exhibits, increase community outreach, demolish the reptile house, and implement the initial phases of the zoo master plan. Our first 2025 decision package is new zoo radios. So our current radios are in very low quality, more play-like. The replacement units would be commercial grade and provide very consistent, clear communication, which of course will improve overall safety, especially when working with dangerous animals. We are also looking to add a maintenance service worker for the zoo. So this would help us improve the maintenance of the zoo grounds, enhance the visitor experience by, of course, keeping the grounds as beautiful as possible, and improve the overall zoo appearance. Right now, this role is covered by zookeepers as well as caring for the animals, so this would be dedicated to maintaining the zoo grounds. We are also looking to replace our feed room kitchen. We do have a kitchen on site at the zoo for diet preparation, where we handle all manner of things from prey animals to raw meat to vegetables. And our current kitchen is residential grade, and we are looking to upgrade that to stainless to just really comply with the best USDA food safety and handling guidelines. We are also looking to demolish the reptile house. This is an incredibly old structure at the zoo requiring consistent, very costly repairs. So we're looking for some proactive funding to be able to implement this with the zoo master plan. We are also doing some zoo asphalt repairs. So again, an older zoo, there's lots of areas that need some upkeep. So this would allow us to fix any damaged asphalt, add additional guest walking areas, and just make it an improved experience for our visitors coming through, as well as increase the safety. And we are also looking to replace our one of our electric carts. So this would involve zero tailpipe emissions. It'd be a nice green initiative for the zoo, very quiet operations, while also allowing our keepers to have much better efficiency when caring for the animals.
Can I ask you how old this cart is, the one we're replacing?
This one it predates me, but it is several years old. It also just is a different brand, so we are looking to go a different direction because we find that it's continuously having to go to central garage for maintenance. We'd like something that we can utilize a little bit more consistently.
Do we know typically what the life expectancy is on these vehicles? Ballpark.
10 to 15 years.
10 to 15, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We're purchasing several this year.
Yeah, right.
EMA, fire,
Yeah.
getting one. We're doing a lot of this vehicle to help us get around.
Any other questions for the zoo?
I just,
And you go, Alderwoman Bade.
thank you, Chairman. So since since the reptile home will be demolished, will there be another home for the reptiles, or?
Yes, so part of this is that it would go towards our master plan, so where we're looking to redo a lot of the zoo, but specifically, we would be able to move almost all of the animals into different areas throughout the zoo. And then any that we can't move safely, for example, our very large Burmese python, we would work cooperatively with another zoo in the area to make sure it had safe housing. But all of the other animals would be able to be redistributed throughout the zoo in proper enclosures so that they would still be viewable.
And in future, you will be building a new one? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the long-term goal, is absolutely, as we implement the master plan, to be able to have a new reptile house that is much better for our current
Same
exhibit tree.
location?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
One question.
Alderman Bud.
Yeah, on the additional food, and we discussed this with a previous zoo manager a number of years ago. So I know that like Brookfield Zoo, they do rescues from large grocery stores, and we had talked about, exploring that. Have we gone down that path? Have we talked to our large grocery stores?
We do.
about-
So we do get calls anytime that grocery stores have certain items that they cannot use for distribution. We also work with the local food pantry where they have items that are no longer able to be used for human consumption. There's a small window that we can sometimes use them for animal consumption.
Right.
That doesn't always work out perfectly because it's not always things that our animals can eat, but as much as we are able to, we do acquire food to help reduce local food waste and also to make sure that we're saving money.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
And just a little nugget on that, if you compare it to the Brookfield Zoo, their budget for food per day is $30,000 a day to
Oh,
feed the
yeah.
animals.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. So that's a big part of the budget. Yeah.
And that's with donations.
Oh, yeah, it is. So, any other questions? Alderman Sackles, you have a question?
Yes, if
Okay,
I
go
may,
ahead.
when the committee's,
I think the committee's good.
oh, well, thank you so much. Just a question based on what you said. What do you mean by proactive funding?
So we are looking to, with the master plan, we have been slowly doing things that we know are going to be a part of the master plan, but that do need more urgent attention.
And how old is this master plan?
3 years? 2 years?
20 years?
2 years.
2 years. And how do we come up with this master plan? I'm going to ask you the question. Maybe it's something for Mr. Birchall as well, question, because didn't we do a survey? I know I've talked about it with Mr. Birchall. We had a survey about 2 years ago for our
Yes.
park area there.
Yes, so this is all with implementation from that.
Jim Burchell, Chief Public Facilities Officer. We did have a survey, and that's going to, everything that was on the survey is going to be implemented in the master plan. We're developing that, we're still developing that
You're still
now.
developing that, okay.
Yep, so we can come back and present what actually we're going to do.
Into a master plan.
That's correct.
So the master plan is not official right now
Correct.
that's been brought up?
That's
And it's in the
correct.
budget book, all right. When is the expectation for us to see any of that data? Because it's been 2 years now, I think a solid 2 years, going on 3.
So Alex Alexandru, Chief Management Officer. So as you recall, we hired White and Company to be our partner on a master plan. You're correct, a survey was done. The survey's been incorporated. We have a draft that continues to evolve. The master plan itself sadly was not immune to the inflationary and COVID supply chain type things. So as we kept evolving the plan, other priorities, so we've continued the process. We're hopeful in 2025 that we'll have the master plan ready. It's likely going to be done in phases because of the cost. There's also a master plan. So there's 3 parts out there. There's a draft master plan for the zoo, there's a draft master plan for golf, and there's a master plan overall for the park itself. So those are 3 significant capital projects and a lot of master planning that's undergoing. So White and Company are doing the master plan for the park and the zoo. And then we engaged a company and a consultant to do one for golf. So Greg Martin is the architect, and we had Jeff, what was the National Golf Foundation did a feasibility study. So we have some exciting plans. The amount of money is pretty significant, and so right now the challenge is how are we going to phase these, and how are we going to afford to pay them, and how are we going to pay them, knowing that there is, and I've said this before over the years, there's certain city services that you cannot compute a financial return on investment. It's for the quality of life and the good of the community. So the zoo and the park fall into that category. I mean, you could maybe capture some revenue at the zoo, but overall, their quality of life, right? But the golf is a venue, is a revenue-generating venue, and so we're looking at how we maximize. So long answer short is the master plan is not ready for public discussion yet, but it's an ongoing process.
Is there a target date?
2025, we're not sure
Yeah,
when.
no, not even halfway through or first quarter?
Well,
I mean, 'cause it's been going on for a while, and I think.
it has. It's been going on for 2 years, but again, there's 3 significant elements to it, which in and of itself, each of them could be 3 to 5 year plans. So we're trying to do all 3 simultaneously and save some time. But I just don't know, Alderman, that there's going to be a tolerance for the amount of money to try and do this all at once. I could be wrong, but we're talking about a lot of money to bring all 3 up to where it needs to be. So in the meantime, Anna's been doing a great job, Gio, Jeff Schmidt, doing the best we can with what we have and making sure that where we're spending money now will survive into a master plan. So it's not like we're gonna,
Yeah, no, it's just trying to go off of what I read here, it's not about the money per se right off the bat in terms of how much is the overall cost gonna be for the master plan, but when it's brought up in presentation, and one of the major functions here, line item number 4, says, follow the master plan recommendations and continue to modernize and expand and improve the zoo.
Correct.
You expect that there's a modern plan, or, there's a master plan for us to look at. And so obviously, it sounds like staff is looking at a plan or some recommendation to move forward that we're not aware of at this point. That's what I'm listening and I'm hearing.
So staff is doing exactly what's written in there, and that is they are prioritizing what can be done now, what needs to be done, that's not going to be counter to a master plan. So we have a master plan in a draft form that we know what, there's certain must-haves, requirements, and there's certain items that are going to be nice to have, but we're not sure they're critical. So right now, they're focusing on mission-critical infrastructure, safety things, beneficial things for the animals, knowing that there are other things, big picture, playground equipment, for example, and walking paths and that will come with a larger plan. So I can't sit here right now and tell you June 1st, but we're definitely in 2025, we will be bringing forward recommendations for all three.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Bug.
Yeah, maybe this is in the master plan.
Yes, sir.
For a number of years, we've asked about bringing back, or the movement toward bringing back, the Friends of Phillips Park.
Yes, sir.
To aid you greatly. That was our focus, was the zoo, but they were all encompassing overall over the park. And, monetarily, like you said, it's just a quality of life thing. You're not making money unless you're Brookfield on these things. But that was one avenue where they could, that group, and we understood they kind of aged out and went other ways, but to have a group like that to support, I think is key. So what hopefully in the master plan we have some semblance, and to put this thing back together to aid everyone in this realm.
So I know staff has worked with legal to look at a new structure for a support group like that, more of a foundation type organization. I don't know, it's been a bit since we talked about it, but Gio, do you want to come up or Anna? I mean, if you're either one.
Gio Santana, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation. As Mr. Alexander said, we are working with legal as well as Clayton's office on reestablishing more of a foundation-like in bringing back, so that there's a fundraising component, volunteer component, and then sub-components, whether it's for the golf course, whether it's for the greenhouse, for the zoo, that people would want to volunteer specifically. Where it's currently sitting at is with legal and outside counsel as well. But
And
we
I
are
can tell
actively
you,
working.
along those lines, we're not just going to rely on that foundation, although a revived, re-energized foundation will certainly help. But also what we've discussed is, you look at other municipal zoos, Brookfield and other ones that are not necessarily municipal, but they're sort of public-private. They have sponsorships. The pavilion is sponsored by State Farm, and that is a source of revenue that can go into both programs and infrastructure. So, and maybe could help preserve the mastodon bones, or, so those are things we're looking at. Park districts do that a lot now with either facilities or even ball fields, scoreboards, things that cost money that are sunk costs. We're looking to see if we can raise some capital that way.
Another thing just came to my mind when you were talking about this. I go to that zoo ball every year for the Brookfield Zoo, and I think
Sounds
last year-
like it, that's
I do know a
impressive.
lot about that, right?
Yeah.
So, and they raised $1.2 million last year at a fundraiser. It was
Wow.
incredible. But anyway, I just wonder if do we ever want to partner with them and say, hey, throw us a bone, no.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Throw us something our way, and maybe we can go back and forth a little bit. You give us, like a satellite type of thing, maybe because they're the big dog, and I don't think that they wouldn't want to partner, because if they throw some stuff our way, says, wow, this is great at Aurora, I'm gonna go to Brookfield Zoo because they even have more. So it's like a win-win situation. I didn't know if we ever thought about that.
There are various things that we have discussed potential partnerships with, more so on the veterinary side of things, because they have a huge infrastructure and team with U of I, so being able to provide adequate care for our animals, utilizing some of their facilities. It's not typically a thing that's done within the zoo community to kind of have satellites out, but it would definitely be something that we could broach with them. They are, as you said, the big dog. So having those large fundraisers each year is actually really common with the zoos. So it's definitely something that we could look at in the future
Yeah,
potentially.
I mean, who knows? You never know. They might think it's a great idea.
The other thing we've asked Anna to do, because there's been stops and starts over the years, is the issue of accreditation. So does it make sense to go for accreditation? If so, what's that mean? We know there's a cost to it, but what's the return gonna be? Like, will that help us, for example, in grants that you talked about, or sponsorships, or partnerships? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that with our current facility, due to the age and just due to kind of the lack of infrastructure, we would not pass accreditation, to be completely frank. And that's because it holds you to such a wonderfully high standard. It is something that we have explored and that we are broaching, just to see what sort of accreditation we would like to go for. I imagine that to be any sort of partnership with Brookfield Zoo, they would want us to be AZA accredited, and we're just not able to do that at this time with our current
But
facility.
that's one of our goals.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Let's go to Alderman Bug first.
No, just on that, is the zoo, how is it, Crossley, whatever, are they accredited?
They are.
Okay.
That's in Wheaton.
Yes.
They're a little bit bigger, but not,
Yeah, they're just a bit
And,
of a different type of zoo, but very, very similar in size, kind of very similar in
very
staff.
similar.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just going back a little bit on that thought line, you guys are working on something with legal, 'cause Alderman Bug brought up Friends for Phillips Park. Has there been an effort, or is there a consideration to talk to anybody that's still around in our town or in the area that was or is part of consider themselves still part of Friends for Phillips Park? Because they also do have, I think, a viable and active account as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've definitely had some people who, especially since I've taken over as zoo manager, who have come to meet me or spoken with me, and we've talked about how we are working on revitalizing a group so that they can be part of it, and they've given some input as to what they've done in the past, so that it's given us lots of ideas of how we can utilize the group and make it really successful for the community, because I do think there's a lot of value there. We just want to make sure that it has the right structure going forward.
But my question is a little bit one step further than your response, and that is, since we are working as a city, working on a legal structure, has any input been taken back or any feedback on what's being evaluated and worked on right now?
Yes,
Anybody
we
that's still
have
around?
taken the positives from that experience, and we're making sure that those are in the new group. But there's always pros and cons, so that has been communicated. And I know there were discussions with, trying to think of his name. Yeah, with with Ron Moses.
Yeah, we've had conversations with Mr. Moses, we've had conversations with Nancy, I forget her name, our last name, Nancy, and also Dawn as well, other former members of the.
Recently?
Yes.
And they're aware that you're working on this type of a structure, a legal structure as well?
Yes.
Wonderful, okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. We can move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. Jeff Schmidt, PJ Golf Operations Manager, Phillips Park Golf Course. We start some 24 highlights. We've hosted up to 4 equipment custom fitting events for golf equipment at the golf course with use of the golf indoor simulators from Wilson and Callaway Golf that have been very, very successful. Participated in the annual Chicago Golf Show down at Rosemont this past winter. Conducted 2 winter golf, actually 3 winter golf presentations using indoor simulators and how to Use the golf indoor simulator for playing, practicing, analyzing your equipment, so on and so forth. Expanded our beverage card hours to up to 3 to almost 6 days a week throughout the season through core season to increase revenue. We constructed a starter shed at the number 1 tee box to provide coverage for our staff who work outdoors and manage the first tee and regulate the first tee capacity at the first tee. And we've also replaced number 5 and number 10 pond aerators to improve the health of the ponds at the golf course. 25 initiatives. We're going to continue to participate in the Chicago Golf Show to promote the golf course out in the far west suburbs. Schedule master plan phases for the 2026 implementation. Expand golf course and concession and marketing to improve revenues. Reconfigure the golf shop to create a little different flow to move people through the clubhouse. Host 4 golf equipment custom events again with use of the simulators to promote revenue sales. And replace the course road signs at the front entrance and at the corner to promote the golf course. Moving into decision packages, maintenance service worker and maintenance service worker 1 to help. I should say, let me step back for a second. With me today is Austin Heller, our golf maintenance manager, newly hired, started mid to late June. Is doing a great job in that. But pardon me for failure at the beginning of that. But these 2 individuals will assist Austin with the maintenance of the golf course, helping him perform duties to improve conditions, to enhance the course functions, also to help maintain the equipment in the grounds to keep everything moving smoothly at the golf course.
Is there a difference between, I mean, it sounds like there's a difference between the two, but I can't really find it. I know the title says it's different and the salaries are different. so
They're
what-
union titles.
Oh, okay.
So the MSW is more the entry level, and then you have maintenance worker 1s, 2s, and 3s, and they have different abilities and responsibilities, especially the higher you go up, the higher the equipment and the larger equipment that they can use. But we've never really had dedicated, they've always been from other divisions, either from parks or the street department. So these will be dedicated to golf.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and they're an important asset to us because we start tee times on weekends at 6 a.m., Mondays at 8 o'clock, and I'll say in season at 6:30 weekdays. There's times we want to get stuff done on the golf course ahead of the golfers.
Sure.
And these individuals will help us accomplish that so it does not affect play, which ultimately reflects revenues.
Okay.
Toro rough mower, 9-foot deck, replacing a 20-year-old dated machine. The current machine just is constantly down for maintenance, and this is going to have a reduced emissions with the Tier 4 engine. Buffalo turbine blower just allows us to clean up large areas of the golf course. It's used daily, and it's replacing, again, 20 to 22-year-old units. The current units we have right now are both inoperable, and we're looking to replace 1 in 25 and 1 in 26. The range servant driving range machine, our current system is 15 years old, and we experience some breakdowns in that frequently. This new machine will help keep the balls a lot more clean, and it'll also allow us to set up prepaid membership cards and mobile payments right at the machine versus coming into the clubhouse. Toro Procore airfoil replacement. We use this to aerify greens and tee boxes to, again, improve turf conditions at the golf course. This walk behind you allows treatment of focused areas in that, so we can hit certain areas at certain times, again, without disrupting flow of traffic. The current unit we have right now is 19 years old, extensive wear, and it's again constantly up for repairs. Fairway mower 5010H, used to maintain the golf course. Again, current unit's 15 years old, down for maintenance. Replacements are now becoming increasingly difficult to maintain, and when it's down, we cannot maintain the fairways at the acceptable level that the golfers come to expect at height. General worker 2 positions in a seasonal 1. We're looking to position these individuals in the snack bar / concessions. We've seen an increase in revenue with the snack bar with a newly hired food and beverage manager this year with an expanded menu. And we're looking to hire these individuals so we can provide more consistent services, especially with prep time, food time, service during the hours to prevent a delay at the turn, as we call it, when people are making the turn. Again, it's going to ensure adequate SWIFT coverage, and we just want to improve services with higher staff. Golf course merchandise, again, we keep wanting to expand our offerings in the clubhouse to the golfers who are expecting more. It also helps us with some marketing opportunities with other vendors, and all of that comes with return on investment, more revenue. Again, we introduced Callaway this year, and it was a hit, and that played a significant part in our revenues stream this year.
So I'm trying to figure out how does it cost $25,000 for somebody to come in and sell their merchandise? Because if we even have a more of a variety of merchandise, why does that cost us more? Because you got more merchandise, you would think this wouldn't even be a thing. I'm just trying to figure out how that comes into play here.
Our increase on price on merchandise is skyrocketing. I'll be frank, if you go into a retail outlet and that shirt says $60, they're paying $30 plus freight. And typically in a retail merchandise, especially on soft goods, you want to be able to keystone that or keystone that plus 10%. So if it's costing me 30, I want to sell it for 66. And that's so with the increase in cost rising, you know, it very much limits us what we can bring in. I mean, just on golf balls and gloves alone, I'll spend close to $20,000. And that is just selling golf balls.
But
So
if
this
I
isn't as
may-
much about variety as much as it is just costs going up overall.
Costs are going
Okay,
up.
that makes sense. I just
Yes.
didn't know what the variety.
Yeah, so
would
the
come into it.
25,000 on this one is for Jeff to be able to have some flexibility to acquire what the additional vendors are offering to display and sell. So otherwise, he's got a smaller amount of money and not able to offer, and people come into the pro shop looking for and asking for some of these products. So this will give them the flexibility to stock some additional merchandise.
Alderman
So
Warner.
it's just the 25,000's used to purchase inventory to resell?
It's inventory, that's correct.
Right.
That's
I was
correct.
just getting confused with the variety versus volume and inventory, that type of thing.
Yeah,
But
it's
you
not like
explained it
we're
now, so yeah.
giving space to Callaway
Right,
to direct sell to people and we're just
Right.
housing it. We're actually acquiring
purchasing.
more inventory so that we can resell it.
And just for a quick example, like when we do our custom fitting events, that's not stock merchandise. That's stuff that's equipment that we're ordering stock directly through the company, so that's not technically allocated in our budget.
Right.
Because we don't know how much is gonna go. But those all events have been very successful that we've had, and that's stock that we're, again, 25,000 to help us
Sure.
be able to run events like that so we can order.
Okay. All right.
Again, food and beverage expanded offerings, again, food costs continue to rise. We all see it, but we continue to expand our menu options, change them frequently. Again, bottom line improves the patron experience and again, increased revenues. Golf patio furniture, that looks number the 18th green and 10 tee box. That's one of the prettiest spots on the golf course in Aurora and other golf courses, and that people continue to comment on. Right now, we've just got some patio tables out there, some umbrellas. We want to be able to enhance that patio atmosphere by putting, better patio furniture out there to enhance the aesthetics and create a more welcoming and atmosphere for the golfers. We want golfers to linger. We want them to hang out. When they hang out, they buy, they sell, and they purchase. So we want to provide a good, comfortable atmosphere that will help promote that at the golf course, as well as accommodate some of our smaller events that we have at the golf course. When we accommodate golf outings, we can have them out back versus putting up picnic tables out front from the park. It just says aesthetics will improve on that.
Question.
Alderman Bug, go ahead.
Yeah, just on the patio, I haven't been out there on the patio this year. Do we have outside heaters here?
On the that side, no, there's no coverage outside. It's just a brick patio out back, uniblock out there. We can seat 60 to 70 people out there comfortably in that, but no patio heaters out there, no, sir. No coverage. Taurus Sand Pro. That's the machine that grooms all the bunkers that we get a lot of comments on from golf courses. If anybody plays golf, they're going to nitpick about a few things, and bunkers are top of 3. But this is going to replace an old age sand bunker that we have. Again, improve the performance, have less maintenance downtime, but just keep the bunkers groomed and looking nice for playability.
when it's considered a hazard, and that hazard you can't even get out of because it's an extra hazard, that's a problem for a golfer, yes, yeah.
It's not a problem if you stay out of the bunker,
Well,
Alderman
then we'd be on
Franco.
the PGA Tour, and we wouldn't be sitting here today, but thank you for that.
GeoLink antenna kit. This is an on-site antenna for the GPS chemical sprayer. This antenna eliminates the annual cost connected to the services, and it will be compatible with future machine acquisitions. Tufco widespan top dresser replacement. This is used to top dress our greens and tee boxes. The current unit is 20 years old and just reaches end of life. And top dressing is performed frequently on the golf course on tees and greens to help maintain the turf on the golf course. And lastly, the Foley 672 AccuMaster bed knife grinder replacement used to grind the mower wheels. The current unit exceeds 10 years in age. This new model provides more effective, efficient operation. Bottom line, those are going to help the blades stay more sharp on the greens and provide better putting surfaces, as well as the blades for the fairway mowers and that. Any
Questions on the golf? I had a couple. So I looked at the measurements for the rounds of golf this year, and then what you projected for 2025, similar. Does that take in consideration that Orchard Valley is going to be shut down next year, and there's going to be 35,000 rounds of golf going somewhere, and we don't know? I got to think Phillips Park is going to pick up a number of those.
Yeah, I'd like to think that this is their last week being open. They've made an announcement, but those 35 to 40,000 rounds are going to go somewhere.
Right.
And we're not maxed out daily, but we're running probably 75, 80, 85% capacity every day.
As of right now.
As of right now.
Okay.
Obviously, it slows down in spring and fall a little bit, but during in season, we've seen an increase in play. I'm expecting those rounds to come our way, but again, there's a lot of area golf courses that are going to absorb those rounds. And at the end of the day, we've only got so many tee times to offer so much play, but
Right.
we're expecting to pick up those rounds.
All right, and based on the staffing that you have now going in and the extra food and stuff like that, we feel we'll be able to
Yes.
basically fill that need if we need to.
Yes.
Then the other question I have is, what does the golf course generate in net revenues a year? I'm not versus expenses, not, at the end of the day, but what is, I shouldn't say net, what is our gross revenue? Do we know from, rounds of golf, the ball machines, the merchandise, the food and stuff, or a rough figure, or maybe even an exact figure if Mr. Minnick has it?
Chris Minnick, Chief Financial Officer for the city. We're checking on a more precise number, but it's in the range of $2.3 to $2.4 million annually.
Okay,
in
so
that
this year we're
ballpark.
gonna be 2.9 something million in expenses, so we're just under that in revenues. I mean, projected, I guess.
Yeah, that is the gross, that's about the gross revenue that we anticipate generating.
Okay, now, I don't want to nitpick with this, but is that, so do we have typically more expenses this year than we would normally have because we're buying all this stuff, or is that about a normal?
We are seeing an increase in some of the capital just to replace some of the equipment, as
Sure.
Mr. Schmidt had indicated, that we need to replace over the coming year.
All right. Any other questions or comments on golf? Thank you very much,
Mr.
Jeff.
Chair,
Oh,
yeah, if you don't mind.
Alderman Masiacos, you
Yeah,
have a
thank you
question?
so much. Mr. Schmidt, I would say that how's this? I don't see, actually, I do see that you're there all the time, it seems like, whenever I'm at the golf course. I don't know when you take any PT time personally, or vacation time, hopefully maybe in the winter. Maybe you take a little bit extra over the holidays here coming in the Christmas and Thanksgiving. But I know you're very much loved and respected by the community in your efforts there. First question for you is, and maybe you can toot your own horn a little bit. How did you? Because we've had this conversation. I've shared some information with you with people with concerns about recent rates that went up. We approve, but we're staying competitive, and I appreciate the explanation at City Council about that. Tell me how you increased league registration, senior league registration by 140%, and evening men's league registration by 100%,
I'd
which
love
is
to
great. I mean, I think that's great.
Yeah, I'd love to take credit for that, but I've got a wonderful assistant His name's Eric Anderson, and he takes the lead on those for me. So I delegated that to him over the years, and you know, we set the league. We've got a senior league on Tuesdays, and then we have in the morning 18-hole league, and then the evening league we have a 9-hole league, and we operate very fair. We do competitive events with it. He just does a great job. I wish I could take the credit for that, but you know, we reach out, we talk to the golfers, we can send emails, so on and so forth, and that. But we do a lot of this to spread the word because that's sometimes the most effective way to get people in the door. And then once you have a good program running, it spreads like wildfires. And you know, we run it, you know, both leagues about 20 to 22 weeks. We do a league championship at the end. We do some food with it to keep the golfers around, present trophies and that. But you know, if you're asking me how I market it, word of mouth from golfers, ourselves, email marketing and that. But like I say, Eric Anderson, my assistant's done a great job on promoting that.
Yeah, before I go to my other question, I'm going to throw in a plug for my son. If you're going to put in that new bucket system, he hopes the prices don't go up when he comes out to the range. He loves going to the range as much as he does putting over there and hitting a few holes. But nonetheless, I wanted to find out what's the status, if any, with completing some of the things that were in last year's budget, primarily like some signage. I think signage was replacing the signage over there by Hill and Montgomery Road was part of the package, budget package last year.
Yeah, that's what we carried over for 2025.
Okay.
The main sign at the corner will be tied into the master plan, and that to provide exposure for the golf course, the park, and the zoo. So we have carried that over to 2025. We want to replace the sign up at the front entrance of the golf course, though, so we're hoping to get that completed in 2025.
And is there a design review committee of that sign, or is it just going to show up one day, or surprise, or are we going to have an opportunity to look at it?
Now that'll be reviewed with Jim and Derek, and then whoever else needs to be part of that review process.
Okay, all right, appreciate it very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think that concludes the golf portion. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Now we're on to the airport.
Good afternoon, Steve Andrus, Airport Division. It's got a tough act to follow here. We don't have anything that exciting at the airport, but we'll go over some of these highlights real quick and very quickly, because probably the most significant highlight was the purchase of snow removal equipment, which is shown number 1 here on the screen. Unfortunately, the 3 others that we had hoped to actually complete were delayed by the state. So they're still in the hopper. We anticipate doing it. There's no way we would finish because we're running out of construction time. And a lot of this is paving. So that won't be able to be completed this year. And then some of the things that we're hoping to do next year, we will be going out to bid for this rehab airfield lighting vault and replace the automatic standby generator for that lighting vault. That'll be done later this month. We hope to award the contract first part of the year. That's through federal dollars, and it's being bid through the state and the feds. You will see something, I guess, in order for us to officially, I won't say get the funds, but I think actually we may have come before you for the design phase of the airfield lighting vault and generator project. But once it's awarded early spring, we'll come back to you and look for approval for that project. And then this next item, well, actually, the next item on the list is to clear a wooded area that's just north of our east-west runway. It's about 17 acres. It actually has been generating a lot of wildlife. So we're having a lot of conflicts with wildlife on the field, not necessarily birds, but deer and coyotes. We had a bird strike last Monday. which were finches, believe it or not, has probably nothing to do with this particular area, but just it goes without saying that we've got to be concerned about that kind of thing, and we take it very seriously. One of the things that was reported out in a wildlife report that was done a few years ago was the amount of coyotes and deer that get to our runways, to the point, quite honestly, where some of the coyotes, as they cross the runway, are now looking each direction to see if it's safe to cross. So, we have a wildlife bird cannon that shoots off propane boom, if you will, but it's automatic and it goes off every so many minutes. And after the first half an hour, the geese are accustomed to that and they know they're sitting there waiting for it to go off. So that's not incredibly effective. And so that was a decision package to cut the trees down here north of the runway.
Steve, can I stop right
Sure.
there? I had asked before, one of the other presentations, about $70,000 for the trees there. So apparently there's a lot of trees. Because that's a lot of money to clear trees. I'm figuring, but I don't know, is it $1,000 or $2,000 for a tree? But
So this is, what you're looking at here are the actual areas. There's 17 acres. Now that estimate was done by Homer Tree Service, so we think it's pretty accurate.
I just wasn't familiar with how many trees. Obviously, the more trees, it's
Honestly,
expensive. I
I
saw
couldn't tell you.
70,000 for tree room. I'm like, whoa, that's a lot.
I don't know the number of trees, but
Okay.
I can tell you
Okay.
it's the 17 acres.
You know,
as it
17 acres
shows.
kind of clears it up a little bit.
Right.
Chairman.
Alderman Tolliver. Go ahead.
I just had a quick question. I mean, if we're gonna do this tree clearing, and if the animals being over there is a problem, if we clear these trees, where are these animals going? Do we work with any other type of departments or anything like that to kind of negate what could potentially happen with that? I work in insurance, so I'm all about mitigating things from happening. So
Okay, so I'm being funny here. We're gonna send them to the zoo.
That
We're
part.
not. Okay, but, just like most farmers' fields, there's wildlife out there. When they bring their crops in, they go somewhere. I'm not sure where, but the airport is pretty diligent about keeping wildlife away from moving aircraft. Alderman, you understand that
Oh, yeah.
probably better than anybody up there, but, so, in answer to your question, I don't really know where they're going, just elsewhere.
I gotta think, and I don't know for sure, but like when you build a new subdivision in an area and there was always a lot of animals out there, where do they go? And we don't know. They kind of go wherever. So I don't know if there's an actual plan on that, but they go somewhere.
Correct.
And it's it could be somebody's backyard. It could be miles away. We don't know. And I think that would be very similar to this. We just no
We're
monitor.
assuming that as well.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you
Yeah.
specifically where they go, just maybe to the field to the north. There's a lot of farmland around. And then we only have 2 decision packages. The second one is to rehab this salt storage shed. The photos you see in front of you, one is the exterior looking north, so that's the rear of the building. And then the other photo is from inside. So this is an area that we store road salt that's used on the land side only. It's not used on the airfield side. That's not allowed by the FAA. And what's happened to this building over the years, that salty environment has, you can see a little bit here on actually both of those photographs, it's eating through the metal siding. But more importantly, which you can't see from this photo, is the structural steel about a foot off the ground is being corroded. So part of this project isn't just re-siding, but it will be repairing the structural components down towards the floor. And then, of course, we saw this photo. I don't really have anything else. If anybody has any questions on our budget or
Questions
these
or comments?
decision
Alderman-
packages.
Alderman Bade?
Thank you, Chairman. Steve, it says hangar occupancy is 98%. What does that mean?
Well, the hangars that are actually constructed at the airport, are pretty much full.
Full.
Now, a lot of those, there's 92 hangars that are at Sky Haven, which is that private development. I think you know where that's at, on the eastern side of the airport. Those are all private. It's like a condo association. Those are pretty much full. There might be a couple that maybe are in transition, but most of those are full. And then everything else is pretty much owned by, it's on our land. It's being leased to the city. But those are private hangars, like the fixed-based operators like JA and Rev. You know, they own the buildings, but they're paying rent to us. We don't own any hangar space. We would like to encourage development out at the airport. There's some really good areas on this, actually on this same slide, you'll see that odd-shaped area that encompasses the woods that we're intending to remove. That little white rectangle off to the east of that, that was the area that Honda Jet was supposed to build on. They had since, a few years back, pulled out. There is some interest with that area right now, and so, God willing, we were able to, be able to promote development at that location, and then our ultimate plan is to promote development just west of that, almost in a train, so straight, actually just north of that wooded area. So,
Steve, when you mentioned the FBOs, there was, I can't remember how long ago this was, but wasn't JA thinking about selling or moving on of some sort? And I don't know what the particulars were of that.
I don't think they're, and I'll defer to Alex on this, but I don't know that they're thinking of selling. I think they were sort of digging their heels in, saying they weren't going to sell, but there may be some activity that
Right.
I'll let Alex
Yeah,
address.
I wasn't quite familiar
So
with
we
this.
have two fixed base operators out at the airport,
Sure.
JA and Rev.
Mhm.
That's what we currently have, and I would rather not comment any further on any plans for either of them, other than we have two fixed base operators out there. They're both doing a great job, and I would just not want to comment any further than that.
I understand. Any other questions about the airport? Thank you very much, Steve. Appreciate the
Thank you.
presentation. Is there anything else to come before us today with this? Okay, we have hearing none, we have a motion to adjourn by Alderman Bay, second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are finished at 1:59, and we will meet again for a budget meeting on Monday at 1 o'clock. Thank you, everybody.